The Lonely Grape, by Jason Esparza. It was a sunny day in the great clearing in the center of an enchanted forest. Birds spread their sleepy wings and shook out the last bit of the night, ready to start a new day. Trees breathed in fresh morning air and reached up to the sun, now starting its slow climb into the blue sky. Another beautiful day in the enchanted woods. Somewhere along the edge of the great clearing, a lonely vine hung from the low branches of a young willow. It held strong as a small patch of grapes opened its weary eyes. Looking around, he realized he was alone. "Why am I here?" he thought. "Why is it only me here, when so many others have their friends to talk to?" The willow was sad as he watched the small grape struggle with its meaning. The willow became a friend to the lonely grape as he had always been there to support his vines. The willow was also alone, yet he stood mighty, soaking in the sun with his strong branches. "You are wonderful just as you are," he said to the grape. "Even the smallest of grapes can make an impact on an entire forest. It is not for us to decide our value in life." The lonely grape was thankful for the kind words, but still felt an emptiness in his heart as he struggled to understand his purpose. "Why am I the only one? What can I do to make any kind of difference in this world?" He hung his head as he tried to make sense of it all. He noticed some of his grapes were not as plump as before, and this worried him. It was going to be another long day for the lonely grape. About that time, a sparrow landed on the willow branch next to him. He said, "What is wrong, my friend? Why are you so sad on such a lovely morning?" The grape said, "I am the only one here, and there is nothing for me in this forest." The sparrow said, "This is not true. We are all here for each other. We are all part of this wonderful place. Each one of us serves a purpose." The lonely grape looked around, wondering what his might be. Out of nowhere, he heard a thud from below. He looked down and was startled to see one of his grapes had fallen from the vine and was laying on the dirt beneath him. He thought to himself, "This is the worst thing that could possibly happen. One by one I will lose my grapes, then finally my struggle will be over." He sank into his sorrow, trying to figure out what it all meant. The sparrow stretched out his mighty wings as he laid support on the grape to try to comfort him. "It is okay, my friend. One day it will all make sense, and you will see that you made a difference in this wonderful place." The grape thought about those words, and he hoped that his friend the sparrow knew something that he did not. As the day went on, he looked down at the grape that had fallen from the vine. It had lost almost all its juices, and he could see a seed emerging from the inside. He had never noticed that before. He did not know that there were seeds inside of him. The rest of the day went by like any other. Birds sang. Animals galloped through the forest. The sun shone like a forever friend each day to help the forest grow and to give it purpose. The next day, when the grape again woke to the morning sun, he looked down to notice another grape had fallen from the vine just a few feet from the last. It too had lost its juices and its seed was showing. He thought to himself, "Does this seed represent my heart? What is its purpose?" Again he wondered why he was the only one like himself in the forest. This went on for several days. He was having a hard time lifting himself out of the sorrow he painted for his life. The willow constantly tried to tell the grape he mattered, and that he appreciated his friend. The sparrow came by to check on him daily to make sure that he was okay. But the grape could not be consoled, for he was a lonely grape, and did not know his purpose. One day the grape woke up thinking it would be like all the other days. But when he looked down to see the grapes that had fallen from the vine below him, he noticed something different. There was a small vine growing from the spot where the first grape had fallen. He was not familiar with this and had not seen it before. He wondered what it all meant. The lonely grape could no longer see the grape that had fallen, or the seed that was inside. Only the new vines growing from underneath. He wondered what it could mean, and if it would have any impact on his lonely existence hanging from the willow tree. Every day he would wake up to look down at the vine. noticing it had grown just a little bit taller as it made its way up the trunk of the mighty willow. In the same way, grapes started falling one by one from the vine he had hung to throughout his existence. The grapes had spread beneath the willow tree, some rolling several feet away, others staying close. Over time, where each grape rolled, a new vine began to grow, until he noticed he was the last grape left on the vine. Was it all worth it? Did I make a difference? He wondered to himself. Just as he was losing hope, the first vine that had started growing had reached his branch. He noticed it was twisting around towards his area. The grape was startled to realize that there were some small grapes growing from this vine. The small grapes opened their tiny eyes to see this wonderful place that they had awoken in, and they noticed the lonely grape off to the side. They asked him, "Why are you sad in this wonderful place?" The grape said, "Because I am all alone and I serve no purpose." The tiny grapes looked back at him and said, "You do not know what you have done. We are all here because of your courage to exist alone and fight your way through each day." This lonely grape was startled to hear this, and he realized that these new tiny grapes had come from the grapes that had fallen from his own vine. He looked around and noticed that there were several vines growing up the willow, and there were a few off to the sides on several other trees. It was at that time he finally recognized his purpose. He was the first and brought many after him. As time passed, the other vines grew to take over the rim of the great clearing of the enchanted woods. He finally knew that even a lonely grape can make a huge difference in this world, as hundreds of tiny grapes opened their eyes in awe of this beautiful place where they now lived.